Hey, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of the 5-day challenge, which actually hasn't been a challenge at all. It's just been us chatting and, hanging out and talking about visibility, burnout. We had our guest come on um, and talk about Tasha Christie, talk about human design. Yesterday we talked about corporate culture and burnout. And today we have Annick, who I'll let her tell you about herself here in just a second. But before we dive into that, so today is your last day to get on the list to grab an extra bonus. So when the doors open for the mastermind tomorrow, you'll get this special bonus as well as the early bird rate. And we'll talk about a little bit more of that as we're mapping this out today. So if you want to get on that list, let's see if I can do this. Then there we go. You can do that there. Okay, so let's talk to Annick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a little bit of this structured out, and then the rest of it we're just gonna kind of jam. So this is one of my very best friends, Annick Ina. She is a book doula, and she helps first-time authors write, publish, and promote their book. And we were trying to figure out today how we met. We can't remember. It was over the internet. We were both in Italy, both sober. I live down here in Lucca, so she came to stay with me for a weekend, and then I went up to Milan to stay with her. And yeah, she was at my wedding, and yeah, we've she's a one-on-one client now, and then we're also going to start working together to talk about my book and map out my book outline. So that's exciting. Um, so, Anik, how long have you been book coaching and how did you get into it?
Ooh, I have been book coaching, I think, for about 4 years now, maybe between 3 and 4 years. I got there because I wrote and published a book in 2016, 16, 17, or 16. Well, anyway, around that time. And at the time, I was just starting out and I didn't have the funds. My coaching business wasn't bringing enough money in for me to hire a book coach or to hire anyone to help support me. So I did a lot of research on my own. I wrote the book, I did everything on my own. Then I started working with a coach who helped me with my launch. And when I finished, I was super excited. And I have to say, I'm a teacher. I used to teach languages. I did that for a long time. I still actually have a couple of students because I love teaching. And when I learned everything I learned for my own book and then I was in a business group, the B School group, and I saw so many people, entrepreneurs wanting to write their books and not knowing how to do that. And I had done it for myself on my own. And honestly, it wasn't that hard. There's a lot of little steps. But
Mm-hmm.
once you know what to do, it's just a question of following the steps and not letting your mindset screw things because it's scary. It's super
Yeah.
scary. And so I decided, well, I have a traditional education in languages. I love languages. I have education in communications. I had done a training to empower people to be their authentic self. Well, to be who they are, share their message, empower them to share their message. And I thought, now with the tools that I learned, with everything that I learned for my own book, I can put all of that together and help people get their own book out. And
Mm-hmm.
I put an offer out. I got my first clients, and the rest is history.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, So tell us a little bit more about how you help your clients, like what the process is, like because I'm surprised, and I wonder if other people are surprised too when you said like, oh, it's not really that hard. So um, tell us, just give us a little bit of an insight of like how you help your clients.
So, right now, I have to say I started with book coaching and then I expanded to provide the full writing, publishing, and promoting. But the first process, I have a lot of people contacting me from different places on their writing journey. Some have started writing a book, some have published it and it didn't work, some are in that process in between. But most of all, if we start from the first part, which is what I get a lot of people reaching out to, is I've got a book idea. I want to write a book. Everyone's telling me I need to write a book, but I don't know where to start. So when I get there, what I do is I I have a workshop. Sometimes I sell that to clients and then they come back to me. But basically, what we work on is figuring out what their purpose is for their book. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people write because it's part of their own healing journey. That was my case. Then sometimes people write because they want to share their expertise in a way that's affordable for their clients. They want that to be their entry level product that will then get their clients accustomed to their work and then use that as a stepping stone to working one on
Mm-hmm.
one with them or their programs. So once we figure out what their purpose is for the book, then we start looking at their idea. So, how are we going to map out that idea so that it fulfills that purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I'm being Italian speaking with my hands, so I'm going to hide my hands. Um,
Italian in
so,
you.
we map out our outline, and I have to say, there's a lot of resistance sometimes because of that. People don't want an outline because it's a structure. And
Mm.
my first job there, and if there's one thing that the only thing is that I would do, it would be that help clients draft their outline and say that it's a working outline. It can change because the the fundamental structure of writing a book and making that process easy is having structure. You spoke about structure the other day, and we all need structure in one way or the other, and that's what I help my clients find. It's the structure for them to have the freedom to write. And it sounds a little bit um, paradoxical,
Yeah.
structure,
Yeah.
freedom. But yeah, once you know where you're going, you have the freedom to explore
Right.
how to get creative within that structure. So that's what I do with my clients. And then I help them map out in the logistic way how they are going to write, because we don't all have the same writing practice. So we found the right writing schedule, writing way for them, because you think it's just writing, but I wrote my whole book, 45,000 words by hand. That's how I work then.
My my busted wrist. I have to be writing left-handed. Wow, that's intense.
But for some people, it's typing. For some people, it's voice typing or recording and then transcribing. So we find the method, the technique that works for them, and then we look at their schedule. Some people like to
Mm.
binge write. I love binge writing. That's what works best for me. Once I get in that flow, I I start and I do that for days on end. For some people who can't book a free week or 2 weeks or a month, we find out how to work around their schedule. So for some, it's daily writing sessions, and for some, even if they do have the time, they just don't work like that. So
Right.
we find out what works for them, because it's an individual journey. I mean, in that sense, it's you have to find what works for you.
Right.
So we find that, and once we've mapped out all of those particularities, then the work starts. So we do the first sessions are a lot about mindset because, um, you know, as I said earlier, there's a
Fancy
lot of
that.
yeah, there's
So
a lot of
interesting.
lots of questions, and very often mindset is the number one obstacle to writing because you've got questions like, who am I to write a book? Who's gonna want to read what I write? Or
Totally.
stuff like that. My story is not important enough. My story doesn't matter. And if you're writing from that place, it's gonna be hard. If
Right.
it even is, because you might just
I
not
was gonna say
start.
if you just even do it.
Exactly. So we work on that, and that's also the reason why I call myself a book doula, because a doula, for those who don't know, is a midwife. Basically, it's the woman who helps pregnant women to grow the baby in their belly and help them also prepare them to step into their role as a mother. And it's the same thing. You grow the book in your writing bubble, but once the book is out, well, first of all, you have to push the book out, and it comes with a lot of challenges. I won't say effort, but challenges. And once the book is out, it makes you an author, and you have to be prepared to step into that role, into that position. And there's a lot of work to do
Mhm.
around that as
I
well.
would say there's like, then that's a whole other set of mindset stuff because there's all the
Exactly.
other things. Yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, that is why I expanded my line of work, because first I used to do book coaching only. And how many times have I seen people finish their draft, have it edited, and then they'd be like, but I don't know how to get it out. Oh, I don't know how to do it. But that wasn't the real reason. It's just that it's scary to finally put it out for the world to see. So I was like, okay, you don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. Let me do it for you.
No more
So,
excuses.
exactly.
Well, then there's that whole marketing piece. So now, and like that's a whole other beast as far as mindset and being annoying and putting yourself out there and telling people to buy
Yeah,
your book. Like that's a whole other set of issues. Yeah.
exactly. So there's so many steps, and that's that's what I do. I start with the very beginning, and then follow up so that they don't. And it's really sad to see. I've had clients um, kind of want to quit and quit for a few months because it got too hard and it got too challenging, pushing them out of their comfort zone. And sometimes it didn't work with the right people who just crushed them and said, oh, no empathy at all. Your work needs to change here, 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 here. And instead
Mm,
of feeling empowered and proud of what they did, they just felt like their work was just a bunch of crap. So I help make that work as easy as possible and let people grow step by
mhm.
step so that they don't feel like it's a huge feat that they will never be able to do. I help them grow step by step so that they actually get there in a way that feels good.
Cool. Love it. Okay. So now we have a background of what Annick does, how she does it, like what this process looks like. So we're going to map out Annick's launch and content plan, and we're also going to dive into her pleasure plan, um, so that we make sure that this launch doesn't suck the life out of her. Because typically that's how we've been taught how to launch is like it's fucking hard and it's not enjoyable and we don't get to have fun. And yeah, when you show up into that, up with that energy, then you're not going to want to fucking launch again. So tell us what you're launching, like the details of what it is, sessions, some of the features, and then what the investment is.
So, what I'm launching is my one on one program. It's 3 months to go from idea to finished manuscript if things work well. This means writing about 60,000 words in 3 months. Easily doable. I've seen people do that in half of the time when they had a busy schedule. So,
Mm-hmm.
totally doable. So, what I do is I do what I said before. We have um, a session where we work on the outline, etc., etc. I mean, what I've already said before. And then what they get is once we start our sessions, once we start the writing part, they get up to 3 sessions monthly
Mm-hmm.
with me to discuss the work. And I read up to 5,000 words per week. And by reading, I don't mean just reading. I give them feedback on their words, because especially when people are writing their book for it to be a means to get more clients, to grow their list, and to grow their client base, there's a way for you to shape your book to get to that
Mm,
purpose. So, what I do is when I read their story, I give them advice on how to insert ways for their readers to actually turn into want to learn more about them, want to learn more about their books, and um, really want to go further and not just read the book, close it, and be like, okay, cool, that was great.
that's great.
Yeah. And I say up to 3 sessions, because sometimes I've worked with different kinds of clients, and as I said earlier, it's a process that's unique for each person. Some people like discussing what is happening every week. Some people like writing and sending in their chapters, and all I do is we communicate via comments on Google Docs, and they don't really want to talk to me. So
Mhm.
that's fine. We maybe check in once a month to see where we're at and how they're feeling. So either way, this is what they get, and they also get Voxer, unlimited Voxer during my office hours
Great.
for 3 months, and the investment is $3,500 for the whole 3 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And so give us, like, tell us how you've found clients up until this point. So, like, how have you been finding them? What seems to be working? What's not working?
Um, I'm laughing because if 3 years ago I found clients because I used to publish posts a lot, I used to talk about book writing and transformation and all of that stuff. Well, I have been very, I won't say lazy, but I haven't been doing that for the past 2 years, for the simple fact that I did that so much at the beginning that now people are tagging me all the time in anything book
Mm,
publishing. So I don't really feel the need to do
right.
stuff because
You put in your work to
yeah,
build that, right? So tell us what exactly you were doing. You were writing, and were you blogging? Like, what did that look like?
I was sharing. Facebook was my second home. I was
Okay.
always on Facebook. Anytime I was mostly in the B School group, which is a book of
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs. And anytime someone had a question about book writing or the book journey, I would get in there and give them answers to their questions. Then, one thing that helped a lot was that I used my own book publishing journey, book writing, book publishing journey, as a way to market myself. Because I spoke so much about my book, I spoke so much about the process that people knew that I knew about it because I had been talking so much about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I did first, and then because I just love sharing my experience, so I would go in there and talk about my transformation. I would go in there and talk about what was happening to my clients. I would share everything that I could share about writing, and in a wider sense, not just the writing, typing words, or producing words, but the whole journey. So because of that, I think people just started associating me with anything books. So
Right. I mean,
there
I
you
see in
go.
B school, like, anytime anyone mentions a book, it's multiple people are tagging you. Like, where I'm like, oh, I gotta tag Annick, and it's already been done. So I'm like, oh yeah, second, third, fourth, Annick, yeah. So it sounds like you've really put in your work back then to build that trust with the communities that you've shown up in.
Hmm. And I have to say, it's really, it makes me proud. Well, happy and proud as well. But I count, and I tell my clients, this is what happens when you show up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you put in the work, it will pay. Maybe not immediately, but 3 years later, what you've sown is going to pay back. And
Thank you. It's not overnight.
no, and I have posts where I have 5 people tagging me out of 10 comments. I'm like, what did
Yeah,
I do right there? Nothing. What did I do 3 years ago? Market the shit out of
showed
me.
up. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And this is so I mean we could like go off on this, but I want to make sure we obviously get to like what we're meant to do here today. So um do you have a list? Do you have funnels in place? Like what's your back end look like? Um, just so people can get an idea of what your business looks like, because the misconception is like you have to have like all the things, a fancy website, all of these funnels, opt-in, welcome series. You have to have all these things in place in order to get hired, which like of course is not the truth. But what now that you've been, what'd you say, in business for 4 years?
Yeah, I've been
Um,
fully sustaining myself from my business for 4 years.
Great. What are some of the things that you have in place already? Because this will go into also as we're talking about launching, like what kind of tech pieces we'll have, and all that stuff.
Well, I have tried and played in various places. I have tried to show up on LinkedIn. I have tried Instagram, but it didn't work. It didn't
We
stick.
just send memes.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So right now, as of today, I have a list of maybe 147 people.
Okay.
Um, to whom I send, when I do send newsletters, I might have sent maybe 4 or 5 this year over the whole 2020.
Okay. Okay.
And when I do write to them, it's to share my own personal journey, what's going on with me, what I've found out, what I've discovered, share my clients' books coming out. But I don't talk about book stuff at all. So,
Okay.
um,
So list is put to the side.
oh
Gotcha.
yeah, totally. I'm
Not
not getting
important.
clients from
Yeah.
my list. Do
Totally.
have an I do have an opt-in that's been there for 2 years, I guess. I have
Okay.
people signing up occasionally.
What's that welcome sequence look like?
I've got 5 emails that
Okay.
haven't changed for the past 2 years as well.
Okay.
And that hasn't been converting. So
Great. Good to
it's
know.
it's it's there just because it's there. At some point I thought it should be there, so I give it a try, but it's not
Interesting. Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to say that's because Facebook was working so well for me that, and I was loving it so much that I just didn't want to do something else.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if
that's
it's
what I
fucking
did.
working, then pour gasoline on that and worry about the other shit later. You can always hire somebody, later down the road to do the list, to even write the emails and do all of that stuff for you. Like you just
Yeah.
get a copywriter. It's not. Okay. So we've got your, so like if we're talking about like your business funnel and stuff, so you have your free content. I know that you'd mentioned that you have like some workshops and some things that you can send people for your low cost offer. And then the next level for you is your one-on-one. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's get busy. So not gonna ask that question. Okay, so um before we dive into this, so I know, like, I fully acknowledge that it feels really weird to launch your one on one versus a group. I've experienced this when I'm talking to my clients. Like, we're all like, yes, this feels fucking strange. So, you use the same strategy, you tweak it just a little bit, because the difference is that there's no like doors close, usually, right? Unless you have a limited amount of one on one spots. Um, where that can be the time sensitive. I have 3
Mm-hmm.
spots. When they're taken, they're fucking taken. And launch is over, right? Um, and so you can use this strategy for all the things. You can use it for digital courses, group programs, the different things, right? So what this launch is really meant to do is to, and like all launches, right? But you're always delivering content, and then when you're in your launch it gets much more specific for that specific offer. So there's different times in our business where maybe it's just for engagement, for community building, where you're really trying to build your group. It's building that trust, just delivering a ton of content. And then you move into the launch cycle. So this is really meant to turn the volume up, really turn your people on, get you excited, and specifically talk about this thing that you're launching. So it's definitely a mind fuck when you're launching your one-on-one to like kind of wrap your head around like, well, there's no close date, and it's still possible. It's just there's like extra mindset work that you have to do. So I'm going to talk to you. Let me explain to everybody first, like what this looks like when you're launching a program. I'll use my mastermind quickly to show like how we're reverse engineering things. So what you want to do when you're launching a group program is you want to look at what day does the course start, this program. What day does your group program start? And then you work backwards 6 weeks. So you can adjust this template. Maybe 6 weeks feels too long. I'm still playing around with like 6 weeks does feel like a bit longer to me, but we are in the holidays, so I wanted to give some extra space for everybody. The way that you figure this out is trial and error. So you launch once, do the 6 week cycle. That was fucking awful. Great. Next time we won't do 6 weeks. We'll shorten it up, and doors are open for a shorter amount of time. I know Tasha has a lot to say about this too, about like what your design is and what your launch should look like. So she'll talk about that in the mastermind because she's going to be a guest teacher in there. But you just, it's like trial and error. You just do it, figure it out. Um, so for the mastermind, so the first day of the mastermind is January 3rd, and then I worked backwards 6 weeks to give myself enough space, to give all of you enough time to warm up, to really understand what this offer is, who it's for, and why you need it, why you would be a perfect fit. So when you are going backwards 6 weeks, so I promoted this event, this 5 day event, on the week of November 23rd and November 30th. I was promoting this. So I was putting up banners, I was talking about it, I was dropping links, I was showing up in other groups, I was sending out emails to my list. This is week 3 of the challenge. So I chose to do a 5 day series. I think next time I'll be doing a 3 day. So like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because 5 is a lot for my energy. Because I'm a projector. We're going to talk about Annick and what she's doing, because it's not going to be a 5 day event, because she was like, fucking shoot me. Please don't make me do 5 days of anything in a row. And so then week 4 and 5, the doors will be open. So doors open for the mastermind tomorrow. Early bird will be until Monday the 14th, and you get $250 off. You also, if you've signed up for the list, so this is the tech piece that we'll talk about too, because my list is about, I'm right at 800. I think I need 2 more people for 800. So I do have a meteor list. And so you can use your turn on event and your challenge or series, whatever you're doing, to build your list if you want to do that. We're not going to focus on that because that just feels like dealing with fucking sticking daggers in our eyes. We just want to, get this up and get things moving along. And so you can reward people on your list with an additional bonus, which will be going out tomorrow. And then week 6 is really a pause. So the week in between the doors open, it could be a pause where you take a breath before the course starts. Or if you didn't get the signups that you want and you know that there are more people who need this, you can go hard that last week. So it creates a little bit of spaciousness in your launch. Let's see. So this is different for your one-on-one because you don't have doors open. Doors are usually always open unless you have those couple of spots, which is that then is your sense of urgency. So Annick, let's dive in. So and then if you have questions too, if you're watching this, let me know what questions you have about that process. And then we'll just dive in here. So what day will the doors open for, or like what day are you announcing doors open for your offer?
That's gonna be January 18th.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then, so let me open my calendar. So 18th, so that is on a Monday. And so we work back 6 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, we're right at 6, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So then you start promoting your event. What days? On Monday, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be promoting it on the 14th and then the week of the 21st, right?
Wait, am I in January? So no, sorry. The cut opens on the 15th. So I
Okay.
will start, yeah. So I will start the Monday 11th. I want to do a 3-day series. Well, over
Perfect.
5 days.
So wait, what was that? Say it again.
Uh, a 3-day, well, three sessions over 5 days. So from the 11th to the 18th, I'd like to do
Okay,
something. Yeah,
great. So, how did you decide? So it's like a three-part workshop, right? That's
exactly.
what we decided on? Yeah. So how did you decide on doing that three-part workshop versus 5 days or doing like what, because you could do like one big master class. What made you decide to do the 3 days?
Well, to give people, my principal main aim for that is to give people enough, as you told me, to give people enough so that they want to go further, so that they have this inkling of, oh, actually, maybe I can do this, but I need support. So there's a lot to do. As I said earlier, there's the mindset part, the a lot of things, and over 5 days, that can be too much, and there will be no
Mm-hmm.
breathing space for people to let things sink in so that they can then work on the different um, parts of that,
The
of
workshop.
what they need. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Great. So you get in, give them content, give them a day to process and digest. Then you meet on the Wednesday, same thing on Friday. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the cats are distracting me. Okay. And then we decided not to like do any tech stuff, right? Where it's just like they're signing in. Or did we decide we're not building your list as we're doing this, are we?
We are building my list because I do want to grow from 147 to something
Okay,
more.
okay, okay. So then
uh, yeah, no, I was
you'll
going to
create
say,
a landing page then,
yeah.
like an opt-in page. Okay.
Hmm.
So I I misspoke when I said like, oh, we're not building this list. So totally spaced on that. So then just know for everyone watching this that this is not mandatory. This will not like there's a bonus to it. Like there's definitely pros and cons to adding in this tech piece. You can totally have a challenge, have your event, do it on your main Facebook page, do it in your group, get people in there. And then if you're in the place where you already have some of this tech set up, you've already you know how to move around MailChimp or MailerLite or ConvertKit. Like it's not something that is brand fucking new to you because that's just going to add to your stress. Um, if you don't have these tech pieces in place, I would not encourage you to start putting them in place while you're doing this because it's going to be stressful enough. Um, so the tech pieces in place that you need to have if you do want to build your list would be a landing page. So will you be creating that on your website or will you be creating that through your email provider?
Oh, I think I'll use MailChimp. Yeah, my email
Okay.
provider. That's
So
simple.
MailChimp, yeah, so MailChimp, so the one that I posted earlier in the comments, so that is through ConvertKit. So you would even have to have your website involved, really. Cool. So you need the landing page and then the welcome series, which is literally just like, welcome, welcome, grab your pen, mark off these dates, and I'll see you then.
Yeah, I do want to give them a bonus though, so that they want to sign up.
Okay.
So, what I was thinking was giving them a, well, worksheets
Mm-hmm.
that will help them through the series, a Trello board that will help them
That's right. Yeah.
through their writing process, and for any book they want to write afterwards.
Excellent.
Um, I have an exclusive video from a best-selling author who started out as a self-published author, and she was making $20,000 per month, and then she got a 300K book deal to publish the same book. And I interviewed her, and she speaks about the pros and cons and her process,
Oh,
and she really does give insider information, like those numbers
yeah.
you'd rarely get that from authors. So I gave that whole interview, to 1 hour long interview, I gave that
Well,
away as well.
that's a
Yeah.
smoking bonus. And then what are you doing for like a fast action bonus if they sign up between like the Friday to Monday?
Oh, I forgot. I'm also giving a Q&A, so a live Q&A. I've got so many things as bonuses. Um, I'm giving access to a live Q&A after the workshop, so that people can come in with their questions after having gotten all of that information, processed all of that information. They can come in with their brand new questions. So that's the bonus. Fast action bonus is a 2 hour session to go through all of their notes, all of their ideas and questions and everything, to consolidate or
Great.
reinforce, like to go really deep, 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 deep in their ideas and outline, so that
Mm-hmm.
then we can start on stronger bases.
Great. Okay, so just
Yeah.
to clarify, because sometimes these all get confusing. So there's an early, like, so the early bird slash fast action bonus, if you sign up, um, could be like a discount. It could be an added on session. So Annick has chosen to do a 2 hour intensive. So when you sign up between the Monday and the Sunday, or sorry, the Friday through the Sunday, you sign up for one-on-one coaching, you get this additional 1 hour, or sorry, 2 hour intensive. If you're on the list, if you've signed up for her 3-part workshop, sorry, the camera stalled. Bad connection. If you sign up for her 3-part workshop on the on her and get on her list, you will also get all of these different bonuses and the 2 hour intensive. So this is the stuff that makes it like a no-brainer, which is what these are, because you want to try to front, like it's always nice when like you get signups right away because it like builds your confidence, it front loads things, and then you can adjust things accordingly throughout the rest of the launch. Okay, cool. So have you decided the topics on the workshop yet?
Yes. So the first one is going to be basically finding out what the right book idea is
Mm-hmm.
for them. So what it
Mm-hmm.
is that they really want to write about. So we'll be doing some exercises for them to really make sure that or to get clarity on the book idea that they want to bring forward.
Okay.
Then the second part will be what to do once you have your book idea. So how to
Mm-hmm.
get that into an outline that can work for you. And the third part will be how to schedule your, well, not schedule, I mean, it's the writing part, the logistics of the writing, what to do, writing sessions, rituals, how to map out
Great.
your writing sessions.
Okay. Cool. So, how to pick a book idea, get some clarity, what to do, like to move forward. So, create an outline. And then the third one is how to start writing and how to
Yeah,
create that.
exactly. How to start
Okay.
writing and finish, hopefully.
Great. um, awesome. And so then what we start to look at is like as you are promoting this 3 day event, what are some stories that you have about your personal journey doing these three different things that you can share with your audience? Like if
Say
you just
again?
think of like, yeah, so because like as you're promoting this, you'll be sharing how you did these things, how you've helped clients do these things. You'll be sharing testimonials. So not to like get into this, but like keeping in mind, I guess, of like what are stories that you have about this process. So this is not so much like a question as like telling you like and everybody else, right? Like so create a data no, create a content bank in your journal or in Google Docs. Start to think about as you've helped people through or as you've gone through this, what are stories that you have that tie into you figuring out the right book idea, you figuring out how to get clarity, then like how did you do the outline, taking screenshots of like old journals, going through your memories on Facebook. um, what did you do as your own personal way to start writing? Like I know that you booked a didn't you book a week at like Lake Como?
I had a friend ask me, well, offer to house sit, and I was looking for a place to go on my own writing retreat, and so I spent 3 weeks there, and that's what I did. I just
Mm-hmm.
shut down all phones and computers and everything, and I just wrote for 3 weeks, well, 2 weeks.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pictures of that 3 week vacation, or it was like workcation, really. So, yeah. So, the more that you can share like those personal stories, and then remembering to the feelings that you were experiencing. Sometimes it's hard because the further that we get away from the thing, the harder it is to remember like how much things sucked or the feelings that we were actually feeling. So this is where journals come in. Sometimes even doing market research with people who are where we were, 5 years ago or however long ago. um, Triggers some of those memories, triggers some of those feelings where it helps you kind of drop in and remember like, oh fuck, I forgot about that. And then you can share that story, right? So then the next piece to this too, as you're promoting this 3 part series, is also thinking about same thing, like how have you helped clients get their book idea, and get clarity? How have you helped them create the outline? I know that nobody is the same like in how they write and stuff, and so being able to show like the variation, that you're not a cookie cutter coach, I think that would be really solid to make sure that they know that it's not like my way or the highway. We're really going to find out what works best for you.
Mm-mm.
Um, so then, and then like, do you have testimonials that you can use as well, or create like quotes that you can create graphics?
I have a few testimonials, and maybe that I have that on my to-do list because I've always taken procrastinated in getting testimonials from my clients, although they rave about me and they're like, "Oh my God, I could have never done this without you." But I've never really taken the time to collect those testimonials. So
Mm-hmm.
now is the time to get that done. And I was also thinking about maybe asking for little snippets, specific snippets that would fit my book launch. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, cool. So yeah, I mean, and that can be used at like if you bring that, like it can be like what am I trying to say? Like a regular part of your content, even moving
Yeah.
forward, right? Like even not in launch, like just pick a day of the week where like every Friday I share testimonials and that just becomes like part of your content. So it's in your like in the regular flow. I'm looking here to see, okay, there's some, I don't know why it's not showing up on my computer. Um, Oh, Sophia said sometimes we find her on the beach in social media groups. So let us know what questions you have about the content, about this launch strategy, and any questions that you might have about like what this could look like for you. Um, so was that me or you? I think that was you.
That was you. I was looking at the questions eventually.
Okay. Okay. So then another thing to remember too, since we're getting the techie piece, and I actually recommend this to everybody, even if they're not doing the tech piece, is to create a banner on their Facebook page so that it alerts people. And this is one of the ways that you can really use this free marketing space in your favor. And um, you can, if you're doing your event in your group, you can make sure that in the description of the banner that you are pointing people to your group. I'll have Annick write out who this workshop is for, why they need to be there, what they're going to learn, and here's the link to get signed up. Make sure that you're not using link shorteners on Facebook because they don't like, Facebook does not like link shorteners.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You have to be really careful with those. So just keep that in mind. And then you can put that on your business page, Facebook page, on your personal page. And then if you want to get fancy, I mean, you can create like kind of branded graphics to like, because it just becomes like repetition, right? So if we're seeing similar graphics and that's what you're using for your testimonials, um, you can kind of get fancy if you want to and use them like instead of like a selfie, use this graphic that you've made just to like start getting people used to seeing that branded content. Because of course, like once they see it over and over again, it's that brand recognition, right? Okay, so I'm trying to think. So okay, then what happens? So you've used these stories to guide people into this workshop. You've shared these things. Now it's doors open. So if it's in a group, like if you're starting a group, right? Like, or the mastermind, right? So that now you have like 2 to 3 more weeks of still launching. Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to launch for these couple, you know, and that's it. And so it's easy to kind of like get squirrely and go off the rails. So the content that you'll be sharing once the challenge or the workshop, sorry, is over is then really focused on your one-on-one container. So, what would you say are like the top 5 things that you help your clients with?
When it comes to the one-on-one, I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's, well, clarity of finally finding an idea
Mm-hmm.
instead of having so many book ideas and not knowing which one to pick. Um, Accountability, but some people don't need that. That's not the main thing, but a lot of people do need that. So
I would
yes,
say, yeah.
accountability. Yeah. Um, Strategy while they are writing the book, because strategy, not just the business strategy while writing the book, but also the organization. I know my editor said what I do with my clients is similar to developmental editing work, where we make sure that the chapters are organized in a flowing way, in a way
Mm-hmm.
that flows, and it's just not a heap of words, but something that has a beginning, a middle, and end that are all cohesive and coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, mindset work,
Mm-hmm.
mindset work, because writing a book, and I can't say that enough, unfortunately, people will only believe it when they go through it. Uh, Writing a book is the door, one of the various ways, but for me, it was the door to stepping into a bigger version of you, a
Mm,
bigger, broader version of you, because that whole process of putting yourself out to be seen, you can't keep that just to the book. It will overflow in all the areas of your life, your business,
mhm,
your relationships, your life in general, how you show up. Because once you've done that for the book, once you've broken the barriers that were keeping you small and hiding, you'll get to show up bigger. And there's a lot of support needed as you are breaking through that shell. And
mhm.
this is what I will give you. It will be, yes, focused around the book, but it will serve you everywhere else in your life. So I have to say, this is one of the biggest parts of what I give to my clients. It's this opening, this hand to open the doors to their new life. So that's four.
Yeah.
Um, Five is the reassurance, because I'm the person who knows what's ahead and
Mhm.
tells them you don't need to worry about that now. Just focus on your writing. And that was one of my slogans at some point. Do what you focus on what you do best. I'll do the rest. So you know, let people write, let people focus on their writing and not have to worry about all the pieces that come afterwards, because I've got that figured out. So
Mhm.
it gives them this reassurance. They can sleep at night because they know someone knows and is seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Cool.
five.
Okay. So clarity, accountability, strategy, mindset, and confidence. And then I wrote cheerleader. Does that feel accurate?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
So we gotta get you a cheerleader uniform. Okay, so then when we're thinking about the content that you can be creating for those extra, the additional weeks that you will be talking about this. So you have 5 different buckets of content or pillars of content, right? To choose from. And I say 5 because there's 5 days in the work week. I don't ever expect my clients to work on the weekend. So that's why I said 5. So as we're starting to think about, I mean, I'll finish my thoughts. As we're starting to think about the content that you can be creating, one of the things that you can do if you are struggling with consistency and staying on top of things and posting is just like Monday's about clarity, Tuesday's about accountability, Wednesday's about strategy. So you can just go down and you don't have to say like it's clarity Monday, everybody. But like, because some people, get tempted to do that, or it's marketing Monday or whatever, right? So, but that way you can just like take that guesswork out, because what I see with a lot of people is that they get stressed out, like, I don't know what to fucking write about. And it just starts to affect their visibility. And this is the time where you're on. You don't have to be on every fucking day. Obviously, the more the better. And just trust, like, okay, once this program's closed or the seats are sold, like, I can take a rest. So you do go hard for the launch time, and then you build in that rest time. Um, so, what are some post ideas that come to you as you think about what you can share around clarity? Clarity around what?
Well, your book ideas. I've got my own story. When I said yes to writing my book, I just thought I would start writing, so that's what I did. And I think I wrote every day for the first week, and then spaced it to one chapter every week. And after 10 chapters, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Where is this going? This is just
Mm-hmm.
going nowhere. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I crossed it all off and decided to have an outline and finish
Mm-hmm.
my book in 14 days. So the outline really makes a difference. And like,
Yeah,
I've lived that for myself. And that's why I know I can tell people, if you don't have a plan, well, so
totally.
that's a story I can share for sure.
Fail to plan? No. What's that?
Failing to plan is planning to fail, or something like
Gotcha.
that.
That's it. Yes. I don't know those
Yeah.
American sayings. Um, so what you can do is, and I've talked about this. So like, this is the pillars that we've talked about before. And so like, this is the micro of the pillars. So the macro would be like, what are the pillars of your business? But then when we bring it down, it's what are the pillars of this specific offer? So that's what, if you're watching this and you have your pillars for your business, then you bring it back down. Okay, so we need to hone in on certain things for this specific offer, because you might not be offering some of these other things that your business might represent or that you might bring in. So you want to get really specific when you are launching your group or your one-on-one, that these are the things. So clarity around book ideas, clarity around the outline, clarity around the topic. Um,
And the goal, what is it that you want that book to do?
totally. So the goal. Cool. Okay. So then what are some stories or thoughts that you have? And we'll just do the top two because we can do this during a one-on-one session. Um, what are some stories maybe that you have around like accountability or strategy or mindset?
Well, accountability. I have this one client. She was working full time. She had one day off on Wednesdays. And I remember she said, let's not start immediately because I've got this program to finish. And then she was so excited when she did the workshop that she she said, "Oh, screw it, let's start now." So when we started, she actually set out two working sessions, one on Wednesdays, her free day, and one on Sundays, because that was the other day she wasn't working. And she actually finished her book in 6 weeks because we were having calls every week, because there was this accountability. She knew she had to write those chapters so that she could send it back to me, because she was paying for me to
Mm-hmm.
help her write the book. So within 6 weeks, she was like, I can't believe it, I'm done.
That's
So
amazing. I mean, that's a great success story. But it does
yeah,
go to show you, right? Like, typically when people are paying for things, that's like the fire that they need. Like, there's this investment, they have skin in the game, like, I got to get my money's worth. So it really definitely shows their commitment. Go right there.
Yeah. I was just checking. My phone fell. I was checking if you were still live, but we are still live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so those are great stories to share. And that goes into something else that you can really be talking about too, which is um, addressing the objections in your content before they get on the sales call, right? So, like, I'm sure an objection, I think this all happens to all of us, is money or time. I'd say money is the number one objection. Um, I think that's the like only objection I get, but I'm sure like right like that I think that's the number one objection that most people get.
Yeah.
So being able to talk about that in your content ahead of time, and that story would really highlight that a lot of people, they say that they don't have time. We figure out the time piece. They say they don't have the money or they're not ready yet or we'll put it off. Like, how much longer do you want to put this off? Because if this has
Because
been on
especially
your
if you are doing this for as a way to grow your client base, and that's one thing that I want to tell people who are watching, just because, there's this myth of I'm going to become rich because I've written a book. You don't make money from the sales, but you will definitely make money from the clients that will read your book and hire you because they have read your book. So you may not have, you think you don't have a lot of money, but think of it as an investment. And I think Marie Folio said a book is like a big business card. And
mm,
it's really like a book is less than $10. Maybe people think, oh, I can't hire her because I don't know, I don't have enough money. But if they buy your book for $9.99, they see that you actually know a lot of things. You know your shit. They're gonna want to get more of you.
yeah,
So
it's an
yeah,
instant credibility. Like, it's just
definitely.
put you up or yeah, hands down,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, cool. So we won't go into the rest of them, but you're getting the idea of how you can create the different buckets, pillars, whatever you want to call them, and like how it like starts to umbrella of it starts to go different places, right? Um, and so I'm trying to think. I mean, that's basically it as far as like launch planning out the launch. Oh, the pleasure. Let's talk about your pleasure plan. Um, so the one thing about launches is that unless you're building in fun, play, pleasure, massages, walks, baths, you're gonna fucking burn yourself out. And if you've ever launched from like a blueprint where it's like, do this, like you have all this stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where it's just like go. And so we don't want to do that. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing, and that I'll be doing with Annick, is building in your whole launch plan um, markers so that it's not just like I'll celebrate when I'm at the end. I'll celebrate when I have these signups. It's I'm celebrating every week, like week one of launch down. Cool. What am I doing to celebrate myself? And then making sure that you're doing that shit on the daily. So it's not like big dinners every night, right? But like maybe it's a bath or buying a lotion. I've been talking about pleasure for the last 2 weeks, but maybe it's a candle, having a candle lit. So what are some ways that you, Annick, get into pleasure and play on a daily basis, and what are some things that you can use as like a reward or as a celebration for every week of the launch?
I started even before starting, actually. Because I saw a video of you talking about all the senses, involving all the senses, and I cleared up all of my office space. I love perfumes. My olfactory sense is very developed, and I this is the one that gets to me. So I bought special air freshener that I just love, and it makes being in my working space enjoyable. Like just sitting here in the mornings, I wake up and I just come here and sit and read and do my journaling. Uh, just because it feels good. So just it that before everything makes me want to start working because my
Hmm.
space is good. Then I have rewards for every end of week, like taking myself out to lunch and somewhere I can have a nice view or well, eat good food, have a great view, and enjoy just being myself in silence.
Totally.
Um, yeah. Um,
That's like one of your senses, like of having like no noise whatsoever. Yeah.
yeah.
Got it.
I also, well, I've done all of these things last week because I was so excited about my launch. I was so excited about starting the thinking about it and the saying, yes, I'm gonna do this time. Um, so I'm also planning on having massages, maybe every week, maybe every other week. But I'm planning on having something, whether it's a pedicure or a massage, taking myself out for lunch, um, buying stuff for decorating my office space, things like that that
Hmm.
just make
Hmm.
working pleasurable every
Yeah.
day, every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I did with my launch for Ignite was I scheduled out massage every Monday for the 6 weeks. And I was like, this feels so over the top ridiculous. Let's fucking do it.
But also, I know one thing that I want to do as well is I never have, I always say I don't have time to read because I put that last on my list. But now, one way to motivate me is to say, okay, if I plan things out, because I want to mind map everything. So I don't have, I think what's the name of the guy? Todd Herman, who
Hmm.
said, once you have everything mapped out, success is inevitable. It's not a question of will it happen or not. If you've got all the steps of the way planned, you can only be successful.
Hmm.
So I've decided that I will have my to-do list every day plan, and the motivation for me to stick to my plan and get things done is that if I get things done in 3 hours or 4 hours, then I can take 2 hours to just sit on the couch, lie on the couch and read.
Hmm.
Guilt free. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so building that into your day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. What about what's your like grand finale, end of the launch? We signed up. How many clients are you welcoming in for your one-on?
Um, 5 is a good number.
Okay, excellent. So when you get well, I mean, obviously you're celebrating for the first client. So when that first client comes in, do you have a grand finale celebration planned or in mind?
Maybe I'm gonna take I just love spending money. So
Same.
maybe I'm gonna buy myself a perfume, or maybe I'm gonna take myself out on a spa day somewhere, like something very fancy. And I love doing fancy stuff as a reward. Um, Even if it's small things, like the last time I went for sushi in that fancy restaurant and I had foie gras sushi, like the
Yeah.
fanciest of all.
Hoity
Because
toity.
yeah, because feeling fancy makes me feel like, oh, I've made it. I made enough money, and I've deserved it. I've earned, well, not deserved. I always deserve it, but I've earned it. Like I made it.
Mhm.
And I love when I get new clients buying stuff that I wouldn't normally buy because, worrying about money or blah, blah, blah. So getting clients, well, at the end of it, celebrating by buying something, I won't say ridiculous, but
Just say it.
that,
Ridiculous.
yes, like maybe a jewel. Or I remember at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, I bought this diamond ring, well, pendant, because it meant a lot to me, and I had signed up a new client, and I thought I just want to reward myself. And so I'm probably going to buy something like that. Just spend money without
Amazing.
thinking. I
Yeah.
just love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very posh. Plus, like that gets you, and like the reason that we're doing that, like not that you have to like spend a lot of money throughout it, or even with the grand finale, right? Like if you're not in the position to do that, it's just a nod to the universe. So what's something that you could do that you would never do, that feels really fucking great? So maybe it's just like buying a big bouquet of flowers because you're waiting for someone else to buy you flowers. Like, how can you treat yourself? Are you waiting, or have you even been putting something off? Fucking go do it, or go buy. No, go don't do it because you're not supposed to leave the house. But go buy it.
Yeah.
Or treat yourself, right? So if you usually get this like shitty Folgers coffee, get the fancy coffee. Fucking treat yourself. So these are the little ways that, and we talked about this yesterday too, with the in the pleasure piece, was just how can you kick your own pleasure up? Look at what you're already doing. How can you start to like move the dial a little bit and um, see what you're already doing, but just make it better. Make it fancier, make it feel better, right? Um, okay, so that's all I have today. I don't see any comments coming in, so we'll be here to answer your questions when you're watching the replay. I do recognize that this is like a different time than what people were used to. So let us know what questions you have, and we're happy to answer them. Check out the link. I'll put it again if you want to get signed up and snag the additional bonus that goes out tomorrow. Today is the last day to get on my list. All right, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Annick. I'm
Thank
excited. You're
you.
excited. I just talked about this yesterday that I'm never excited, but I'm legitimately excited. Um, I'm happy. We'll say that. I'm really happy that you're excited to launch. That
Good.
makes
I'll take
me
that.
so happy. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'll send you cat memes later. And thanks for being on my show.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.